Hi, I'm Kalki and I have 3 words for you. My Indian Life. And this is episode 3. My Indian Life is brought to you by the BBC World Service, and it's a podcast about what it means to be young and Indian in the 21st century. Up next in a moment, we will have a man talk about what it means to find his voice when he sings. Please tell us what you think of our podcast on social media. You can find us on BBC World Service on Facebook or at BBC World Service on Twitter. And now, let's listen to episode 3.
You're massively ambitious and want to be a star. But when you open your mouth, you struggle to get the words out.
Music producer.
You know what you want to say, but all people hear is your stammer.
My voice is not a very, it's not that super, like the stereotype masculine voice in any case.
But then when you start to sing, something different, very different happens.
Avara duba duba Avara nadi ke kinare.
From the BBC World Service, this is My Indian Life, the podcast about what it means to be young and Indian in the 21st century. I'm Kalki, and this is the podcast that deals with some of the issues many of us face day in and day out in our lives as young people in India. Episode 3, Singing to a Different Tune. Hi guys, do let me know what you think of our podcast. If wherever you listen allows you to, please comment, leave messages, ratings, and tweet us at BBC World Service or go to the BBC World Service Facebook page. Use the hashtag MyIndianLife. We really do want to hear your thoughts, controversial or not, and your suggestions. And do help us spread the word. Tell everyone you know about My Indian Life and how to find us. Let's keep this conversation going. Oh, and by the way, there is a podcast-related twist to our story today, so hang on until the end to find out. Not that we're blackmailing you or anything, but just listen to us. We all sound different when we open our mouths. Some of us have high voices, some low. A lot of us sometimes hesitate or repeat ourselves. I know I definitely do, especially when I haven't learned my lines, and especially when I'm speaking in Hindi. But that, though, is quite different to having a stammer. Here in India, we tend to call it stammering, and in some other parts of the world, it's called stuttering. And at its root, it's neurological, basically caused by the wiring in the brain. It's been described as a tense struggle to get words out. Some estimate that there are at least 10 million adults in India who stammer, and one of those is a young man called Aditya N.
बजे साज इतना गूंज नावे साज की गूंज भी डूबा जाए बंजारा.
So there you just heard Aditya sing. You can hear that his voice is soulful and his singing flawless. And now you're going to hear him speak.
I'm Aditya N, as my artist name goes, and I'm a singer, composer, music producer, and I work in the film industry in Mumbai.
I've always found it a natural instinct to want to finish a sentence for someone with a stammer, but I was told very clearly by Aditya that this does not help. And sometimes you just need to be a good listener. Aditya has got a fascinating story to listen to. As he himself put, he's working in a film industry in Bombay, and he's known as Aditya N. If you're wondering why that name, he just doesn't want to be confused with the other Aditya Narayan, the son of famous Bollywood singer Udit Narayan. This Aditya is 26 years old. He's really tall. And as you gathered, like many with a stammer, he stammers a bit, but not all the time.
The weirdest thing is my voice is not a very like it's not that super like the stereotype masculine voice in any case.
Yeah.
It's a bit deep and all that, but it's not super deep.
Yeah.
You don't expect a massive 6'2" guy stammering.
Actually, why shouldn't you expect a massive 6'2" guy, as he puts it, to stammer? He's like millions around the world of all shapes and sizes who do. Stammering is considered a disability in some countries. In India, it's classed as a disability only if the speech is incomprehensible. Aditya has had the stammer for as long as he can remember, and people are often surprised by the mismatch between his singing and his talking. I want to take you back to a day in the summer of 2010. Aditya and his soon-to-be close friend Dhruv Vishwanath meet for the very first time. They're both in their first year of college in Delhi, and they're trying to join a club, the College Music Society.
So from the first moment I'd met him, I think I'll just have to put this as bluntly as I can. He had a massive stammer. And the only thing I could think of was that, I don't know if he's going to be able to sing or, do anything like that, because, he told me that he'd performed with other acts before and all that, but I wasn't sure whether I should have believed him or not at that instance. And it wasn't until like maybe 10 minutes later when they'd asked him to sing that I was blown away.
In fact, Dhruv was so massively blown away that he agreed to join the Cobbled Street, a band that Aditya had formed while still in school. And they often performed together at college fests and in crowded Delhi pubs. So, when did Aditya decide he wanted to earn a living as a musician? Well, it wasn't until he was in 12th grade, because before that, he had other ambitions. As you'll hear, his stammering got in the way of those, but not his sense of humor. What did you want to be before that? Did you have some idea?
I wanted to fly a plane.
Really?
Be a pilot.
Oh, wow.
I love planes.
That's cool. Yeah, my dad did that.
Yeah.
Microlights he was an engineer, made microlights. So I used to fly a lot as a kid.
What?
Yeah.
You used to fly planes?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And hang gliders and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was my dream.
Yeah?
That was my real dream.
This was just like some side accident.
Yeah, it did. It just did.
So what was it in 12th grade, or what was it that happened?
So, of course, like knowing the fact that I stammer,
yeah,
getting into flying a plane is like, if I have to say Mayday and I get stuck on May, where's the day?
Yes, you can see the imaginary scene. Aditya is in the pilot's seat. There's a problem with the plane. And by the time he reaches the end of the phrase, Mayday, it's too late.
Plane has gone. It's a very dark
plane
joke
has
myself.
Crashed. It's halfway
Plane
down.
has crashed before I can say days.
There's we can have a lot of dark jokes on this. Aditya is more than prepared to laugh at his own expense. He had decided then not to be a pilot, but he still had other dreams.
Yeah,
so you couldn't be a pilot because of your stammer, but then you thought it was logical to be a musician and a singer.
Because I realized I'm not stammering if I sing. Because your speech has nothing to do with the way you sing. Because you sing on beat. Somebody who stammers can actually get that right.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. But if somebody comes and interrupts you, or if you have a conversation, that's where your thoughts start to race, and you know that you're trying to complete a thought.
Right.
And you for a song, you know that your next beat is your thought.
Your next beat is your thought. And Aditya is right by saying that, because he's in very good company with other people, musicians especially. Elvis Presley had a stutter. So did Mark Anthony, Noel Gallagher. Closer home, Bollywood stars Hrithik Roshan and Rani Mukherjee have talked about their struggles with stammer. There is no one explanation for why people stammer. Some say it's because their brain is wired differently. Others say it's because people use a smoother voice when they sing compared to when they speak. Aditya's mother said that it's because he has too many thoughts that happen all at once and he doesn't know which one to say first. Whatever the reason, most stammerers face stereotyping, stigma, and in the worst cases, social prejudice. Aditya, too, says his foray into singing was unplanned and happened by chance. In 2006, he wanted to join the Artists Unlimited, an independent youth forum for the musically inclined.
Until then, I had not actually sung much. So I went and I sang a song by Metallica.
Oh, wow.
Nothing else matters.
Superb.
Those were the days when that was the rage. This was when I was possibly around 16.
Yeah.
So I went and I sang, and it was fun. I didn't think I'd get in. This the same thing, that same damn feeling of, let's go and try. What's the worst? I'll not get in.
Right.
Till now I face that each day. I think a lot of us do. I don't know about you anymore. I mean, do you feel that till now?
Yeah. I also feel that all the time, where I'm like, okay, let's try this out. I mean, I'm auditioning for random international Netflix stuff, and there's probably a million girls doing it all over the world. And
So
you're like,
till now
whatever,
you feel
let's
that
do it.
way?
Of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's there, that you have nothing to lose. That gives you a freedom. So I think just having those open windows everywhere, like learning from new things, for me is really essential. And the thing is, especially in this industry, we tend to be blocked, no? As soon as someone says, okay, he knows how to do this, she knows how to do this, let's make them do it again and again and again. So after Devdi, I used to get only prostitute roles. And it was like, okay, I'm going to have to make these choices, which
I wish they had stammering singer roles.
Yeah.
So, nobody wants that.
Damn it.
Here's Aditya N giving you all of him with John Legend's All of Me. Coming up and live it up.
This was the turning point in Aditya's musical career. It came in October 2015 when he participated in The Stage, India's only English language singing talent show. In the show that was telecast on the Colors Infinity channel, he wowed the judges with his performance.
What I really like is the way you were changing the texture of your voice. You started from husky, and then you went a little louder, you went a little more bold, then you came down. Again, I'm getting the gooses with it.
I'm getting the gooses listening to you guys. It's just, I'm really a fan of each one of you here.
He didn't win the contest. He got voted out after a few rounds. But for as long as he was in the competition, his stuttering remained the highlight. Until his success in that show, he'd been composing and producing films for adverts, sometimes singing in them. But he found his chances of getting jobs often came to an end before he could even get to the end of his initial phone calls.
And I realized through the course of the times I'd pitch, when I'd call them, lots of them would not wait. They'd get very frustrated. And they'd cut my call, or they just keep saying, hello, your voice is... And like the times I do stammer, it does seem like it's a network issue in any case.
You're right.
Like you just stop and you come back, and you stop and you come back. Your voice is breaking. I said, no, I'm breaking, man. Just wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But back then I couldn't say it like that. And they used to cut calls, or they'd not take my calls. And when I actually went on the stage, that changed crazily for me, because I had in front of me some of the finest musicians of the industry, and I'm singing and I'm talking and they're waiting, and they didn't seem to care about it. And that's the first time I thought, ki, if they don't seem to care about it, and if they feel like it's fine, and they make you comfortable enough, and I realized it quite soon over there, that I don't have to care, because they don't care.
Correct.
And if they don't care, then who cares about anyone else?
Before that, did you find the need to go out of your way to make other people comfortable?
Of course,
Yeah.
always.
So how would you do that? Like sense of humor, or?
I don't have one.
That's funny.
Or if I do,
Great
it's
sense of
really
humor.
bad. It's very bad. No, my jokes are terrible. Really bad. My friends will vouch for it.
Aditya is home in Mumbai, and here he is jamming with Dhruv and Rohin, another music buddy from his college days. And his current music partner and friend, Nayantara Bhatkal, also joined in. They all agree that Aditya's jokes are bad. They also agree that he is hugely talented. His friends pull his legs. They say he's controlling and meddling. He himself prefers the term micromanaging. They crib that he never texts, but insists on calling them. He bemoans the fact that the world has become so impersonal. Gradually, the conversation veers towards Aditya's stammer. We put the microphone in the middle of the room until people had almost forgotten it was there.
I have seen some people make fun of him. He takes it with a pinch of salt and he also gives it back in his own way. And I also think that he is really able to deal with it in a light-hearted way.
And then Rohin reminds him of the time in college when a professor couldn't believe that Aditya could sing.
Slightly ironically, there was a professor who, I think he was 85% blind. And so I remember Aditya, Dhruv and I had gone to apply for leave because he had to go for a college fest. So I remember Aditya had taken the application and gone to him. And midway through the conversation, he began to stammer. And this gentleman, I will not name him, hears the entire sentence out, and I expected this man to be a little more sympathetic towards impediments. He looks at Aditya and says, "You cannot say a complete sentence. How are you going to sing at a fest?"
First he checked what I do.
Oh yes.
He thought I was a guitarist or a drummer.
Yes. What do you do in the band?
In the band. So I was like, "Sir, I sing." "How can you sing?" I was like, "This is like that. How can you slap video him out?"
Aditya's pet peeve is that people often take him for the other Aditya Narayan. And actually, Aditya, if you're listening, I want to make a confession that when I was researching you, my manager by mistake sent me all the links to the other Aditya Narayan, and I ended up reading a lot about him. And the only time I figured out that it was the wrong Aditya was when I got in the lift with you, and you were way taller and very different looking than the Aditya Narayan I had prepared for this podcast. And I remember palpitating in the lift with you, and then I kind of excused myself and went to the bathroom and screamed at my manager and tried to Google you. All this happened in the space of 2 minutes before I came calmly to the studio and introduced myself, and we had such a lovely conversation. I'm glad that I could get this off my chest. Thank you, Aditya. Please forgive me. I love you. Anyway, getting back to the point, Aditya insists that he is an outsider in the industry and his father is a corporate man. But music does run in his family too. His mom, Nutan Narayan, is a Hindustani classical singer.
Jhula dharo ambuva ki dari re jhula dharo ambuva ki dari.
So what do Aditya's family make of his choice of career? When we visited his home in Delhi, they were celebrating his parents' wedding anniversary. As they sit around the dining table drinking tea and eating blueberry cheesecake, Dad Prakash Narayan says he wanted his son to follow in his footsteps. But then he changed his mind after watching Tare Zameen Par, the hit 2007 Bollywood film about a dyslexic child.
Initially, I was trying to pressurize him into, study a little harder, do better in school, and generally move towards making a career in let's say, the corporate sector or something like that. But then I think there's a movie, Tare Zameen Par, actually. That's when I saw that movie, that triggered the thought that, every person is unique. Then I realized that, Aditya's got a gift which none of us have. We are all generalists. We could do any job. But very few people have a gift of, that is their passion, and they can, live with it all their life and do well and like the work that they're doing. But here was, Aditya was passionate about music. And that's when I thought that we must support him fully.
His parents now talk about how they are astounded by the phenomenal progress he's made in a highly competitive industry where they had no godfathers. They talk about his initial months of struggle, about how he used to knock on doors asking for work, and then sit in the house waiting for calls that never came. But all that was in the past. Now they're happy that he knows so many big shots and celebrities and how proud they are of him. And they have good reason to be. He just finished composing music for a feature-length documentary for Amir Khan Productions. He's an established music producer, and this year will also see the release of his first song as a singer. That song is still under wraps, but here's one he can sing now.
किस ओर भटके तेरे पाँव किस खोज में खुद भूल गई तेरा गाँव.
So this is a song that my friend wrote. His name is also Aditya Gupta, and he's quite a masculine dude. Then he calls me to his place one day and he shows me this. I was blown away. Like he wrote this rustic song about longing. I made the tune right there in front of him, and I got him to approve the tune for me.
खींच चले तेरी ओर दिल की लालसा है एक सवाल सा क्यों मेरे नैनों में है तू मुराद सा दिल की लालसा तुझे तलाशता मन के पन्नों में है तू किताब सा.
5 years ago, Aditya moved to Mumbai because he was told that no music band would take him because of his stammer. But now he says that his strength lies in his adversity, that he's doing what he's doing because of the way he is. The stammer is a blessing in disguise. It's what sets him apart from the others. When other newcomers call to pitch work, they have to explain who they are. His stammer makes him immediately identifiable. Aditya's is a story that seems to be moving in the right direction. The boy who was made fun of for his stammer has found his voice. And it's a beautiful voice. By the way, remember the twist we told you about in the beginning? It's time to reveal that Aditya has actually composed the music for our podcast. Well, I love that music. It was great meeting Aditya. I'm actually recording this last section of this episode in front of an audience of students here in Delhi. Thank you so much, guys. I'm here at St. Stephen's College, and I've been doing a live recording of My Indian Life, which you'll be able to hear later in the series. When you launch a new podcast, you never know quite what the response will be. So I'm really delighted to read that you've been saying on social media and your emails quite wonderful things. Thank you so much to everybody for downloading and for listening. I asked for your own reactions as well, and this is some of what you have been saying. Hi, Kalki. Thank you for bringing this story to the front. Instances of harassment of women rarely get spoken about. I've had conversations with my colleagues and friends, but even they are either shy or feel uncomfortable talking about it, though I know it matters and even hurts them. When Malika talked about how it became a part of life simply because one can't deal with it all the time, it broke my heart. I hope this message travels far and wide so that we, the men, can look at ourselves in a mirror and at least try to do the right thing in the next time that we see such an instant. That's from Shreyas. And Sagar also got in touch saying, Malika's story can make a drastic change in the thoughts of the young India. I have been listening to the show from the very first day and there is change in my thought process. Malika is really a strong woman and it's the time for Indian women to be like her. Karthik also emailed us saying, thank you for bringing out this podcast. Though I'm not a first-time podcast listener, this is the first time I'm listening to a podcast that's remotely connected to something Indian. I've asked the students here to tell everyone they know about the podcast and how to find it. Are you going to? Yeah. I'd be so grateful if all of you who are listening can also do that. In the next episode of Kalki Presents My Indian Life from the BBC World Service, we'll be looking at social media trolling and the peace activist at the center of a bitter and polarizing debate on nationalism and dissent. Please continue to send me your own stories and experiences. Remember, our hashtag is MyIndianLife. Our email address is myindianlife@bbc.com. Thank you so much for listening.